I know that it's been a while since Nebraska was positively the talk, the focus. Then, consider this, the standard of college football. It's happened, and it's happening forward. The Dylan Raiola thing is just a step. What's next and why? That's what we're going to cover here on Locked On Huskers.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Your second should be Locked On Sports Today. You can check the button right over there at the bottom. You can check and see what's going on there. I want to thank you for making Locked On a part of your day. And then through you everyday folks who are rock solid, you're always contributing. You're sending direct messages. You're putting comments down in the comment section. Thank you very much for what you do. Over the course of this episode, the journey I want to go on is, so I was traveling today, and in the travel, you run into Husker fans. And it's just, listen, when I say Husker Nation, some programs always, they take their mascot and they put nation behind it, and it's supposed to mean something. But if you haven't learned anything about Husker Nation in the last few years, that it's legitimately all the time in full. Things don't, this is not circumstantial. It's not, well, because it's the only thing. It's because it's an identity, and it's a brand, and it's a passion. It's a love affair. And yes, sometimes the love affair hurts you, and you become a little tainted, and you become a little distant. But when the thing that you love loves you back in the way that you want it to love you back, Husker Nation then rallies and stands up, and its chest goes out. So in my travels, the Go Big Red chants are all over the place, and the pats on the back, and I had on some Husker gear, and I had on the end, and folks will pat you on the back, and they'll just nod and smile because the recent news allows hope, and it allows people to begin to say, you know what? Maybe this is the turn. Maybe this is the fork in the road where we go from what we have been recently to what we once were and what we believe we can be again. And while the commitment of Dylan Raiola to the football program doesn't fix everything, what it did was ionize the Husker Nation fan base in the belief that at least Matt Rule is doing something right on a high level, on the highest of levels. Now, nobody's saying that you snap a finger, you crinkle your nose like they did in Bewitched, and everything is perfect again, and you're back on the run. No, but what it allows you to say is that a step is being taken in a positive and forward direction about this football program. And that hasn't always been the case. Certainly recently, when the top rated quarterback in the entire country, and listen, don't bury the lead and don't miss the layup, that the Raiola name has more value in the state of Nebraska than it does anywhere else. Dad's name's in the building. Uncle's coaching. Like, he's a group leader in the football program. The Raiola name certainly has cachet, it has power, it has juice. And then when you add to that elite name, elite talent in fully leadership roles. Now, there are a few things that this thing did. In that, one, sets the fan base to believe that, listen, you're working towards the greater. You're not just blowing smoke. You're not giving coach speak. You went out and got the top quarterback in the country when every other top program in the country told you that's a guy we want. And then to snatch him to snatch victory from the jaws of defeat and pulling him from Georgia. Listen, quite frankly, when does Nebraska recently beat Georgia in football in anything? On the field or in recruiting? How does it happen? Well, it just did. And that means that somebody in positions of power and authority, somebody with some standards, somebody with some ranking, chose Nebraska over Georgia and Ohio State and Alabama and USC. So for the fans, you understand that. The Raiola name chose that as well. And it's one thing for you to go out and recruit simply because you're a Raiola and you know what you're doing. You're conceptually ahead of it. Schematically, you understand what's required and you know how to do it. But it's a different pitch and sell when you can say, my own chooses me. I'll repeat that so you understand it. When your own chooses you and says you're everything that we not only we aspire to be, but that we say we are. When Raiola chooses Raiola, when a Husker chooses to be a Husker, the next generation, you're changing the entire spectrum of this thing. The entire vacuum changes because one of your own, the top guy, listen, I don't know how many times a Husker prodigy, a Husker son or daughter was number one in the country at anything and then chose Nebraska. It says a lot because there are a lot of Husker generational talents that step down. And in the next case, listen, to tell me that we don't understand what Alexis Markowski choosing her dad's alma mater means. You can do that. It fits and it happens on the gymnastics team. Kenzie Davis with her parents, Olympic parents, and to choose your own, but they're not in the program leading the program. And how much easier is it now for listen, when Nebraska coaches, when Raiola wants to go out of the building and tell the best offensive line talent in the country to come play for him because it's the best thing for him and his brand and his future and all of that. And then the next question that comes from parents and coaches of these young recruits is, well, wait a minute. If you can't get your own to come play for you, why would we? Except now, when those conversations happen, and no matter what coach from what room at the University of Nebraska, when they're asked the question, well, do you represent your own? Does your own choose you? First time in a long time, Nebraska can say, yeah, the best is now choosing us. The best of the best is now choosing us. Recruiting, NIL, it's all changed. A step was taken, not only forward, but up. Nebraska in its work has changed its location and its elevation. Forward and up is the move. What does that do to the program? What does that change in recruiting? What does that mean in the NIL game? We'll talk about that when we come back to Locked On Huskers. But first, Rico, super producer, kind sir, if you would please, let our listeners and watchers, let them know all about eBay Motors.
Thanks, DP. Passion, drive, and patience. What brings home the winning trophy is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. From superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Back to you, DP.
Hey, gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers a part of your day and your first watch and listen. Again, your second watch should be Locked On Sports today. Go find it however you consume on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, whatever way you consume your Locked On podcast. Have at it. You can actually see it now on television. It's streaming. Look, we're all over the place. It's moving. We're talking about the commitment, the recruiting and commitment of and from Dylan Raiola. And it signals, and we'll put air quotes around it. It signals a change in the thinking about Nebraska. It signals a change in the operations at Nebraska. It changes the way young recruits around the country who have not seen Nebraska, who don't know Nebraska, they only know recent times about Nebraska. They now can go, what caused all that? The great poet Ric Flair likes to say, now we go to school. He also says, what's causing all this? Well, recruits around the country are now peeking into the backyard and maybe into the window of Nebraska football to find out exactly what is it. What is the thing that convinced, swayed, flipped the number one quarterback in the country to Nebraska over Georgia, over Ohio State? Like, what? What did Matt Rule do? What is he doing? What's he about to do? All of those are questions because, quite frankly, the answers, even the opinions on those questions, changed yesterday. I don't care what your station is in college football, whether it's a fan, former player, coach, current coach, former coach, whatever it is, recruiting, otherwise, parents. Your opinion and the questions that you have about Nebraska football changed yesterday. Because whatever you thought Nebraska was, it changed because of Matt Rule's ability to change within the program, the structural things that were going on. And then he changed the narrative that Nebraska didn't belong in elite conversations about anything college football other than past and history. He also changed the business that is college football, and specifically Nebraska football. He changed the business because he did big business. Look, I don't know the numbers, don't care about the numbers. I just know that there's some numbers. But imagine that even with numbers, you can't always recruit people to you. Like, you can't just throw the most amount of money at a high school student and expect them to just go, okay, we're going to come to you because we gave them the most money. Now, there are those cases where that is absolutely true, and it certainly has happened, and it's in play. But for Nebraska, recruiting people to Lincoln, Nebraska is entirely differently than Miami, Florida, Los Angeles, California. Like, there's a huge difference. And what Matt Rule has done has flipped the conversation, and he's literally lined up the questions out because you go, well, what did he do? What did he say? There had to be some magical stuff. That had to be some real unicorn kind of stuff that happened for him to get the number one quarterback in the country to simply say, yeah, you know what? Not only that's where I should be, that's where I'm going to be. And once you do that with the number one quarterback, having coached and been in the recruiting game, what I can tell you is this: the conversations, the text, plural, the text that Dylan Raiola got yesterday would probably make fantastic reading, and would probably make a catalog for Nebraska football, for Matt Rule and the Huskers, about what they did right. Because the top quarterbacks in the country want to know why. The future quarterbacks want to know why. The current quarterbacks better know why. If you're a receiver and you've played in the circuits and you've done 7-on-7 and you traveled, you've gone to the elite camps and you worked in Elite 11 and you win, guess what those receivers are asking? Hey, bro, talk to me. Talk to me. Like, I'm going to give you several wrestling cliches over the course of this episode. But anytime the American Nightmare walks into an arena, he says, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? Dylan Raiola could literally move with that. Because I guarantee you some of the best available receivers in the country, this year's class and next year's class, all reached out, hey, bro, talk to me. What's going on at Nebraska? What's the deal with Matt Rule? What's the deal with the quarterback room? What's the deal? What's the deal with Lincoln, Nebraska? And I guarantee you as well, Matt Rule's cell phone blew up. Hey, bro, what'd you do? Because I can tell you just from around the country, coaches and athletes around the country, my phone has not stopped. The text and the direct messages have they're just flowing in. Talk to me, bro. What is happening in Lincoln, Nebraska? And we try to explain it to people, and they won't listen. We won't listen. Listen, there's a lot of beat down, friction, fatigue if you're a Husker fan, because you bought into. It's Charlie Brown in the football. Lucy puts the football down and says, listen, I promise you, Husker fans, I'm not going to pull the football. I promise you I'm not going to pull the football. And then the Husker fans go all in, they go charging, they swing the leg, and they end up heels overhead. And then they do it again. We've changed some things, Husker fans. And so what happens? Well, guess what? They believe me. Okay, you got me last time. I'm going to trust you. You swing the leg and you miss, and you fall on the back of your head, and there's some laughter. He's like, listen, look at them go. They keep doing it. And then it happens again and again. And then finally, Matt Rule says, look, this is what we're doing. And there's some belief in it, but you go, listen, quite frankly, look, man, I'm not swinging my leg. You're not going to get me to do it. And they give you one more chance. They say, listen, this is it for me. If you can't prove to me that you're sincere and legit and trustworthy, then I'm not going to invest myself emotionally. Well, they kept the ball there, and it went through the uprights, and it was good. So now the conversations are different. The forward direction is different. What's next for the Huskers? Well, got to figure out what this NIL thing is now. Again, your thoughts on NIL for whatever way you think about it is probably a little different today than it was yesterday. And we'll talk about what it means here on Locked On Huskers. Hey, gang, DP, Locked On Huskers. Thank you very much. Appreciate you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Again, the commitment from Dylan Raiola to be a part of the Husker program that, again, as he from his own mouth, it's in his blood. It's in his blood. From his dad to his uncle, the other families, all the historical understanding he has, all the game film and all the hours spent watching Husker football, being at Husker football games before you were being recruited. But now you're a part of it. Not only are you part of it, you're the North Star for it, and you're the example of it. What name, image, and likeness, and what it's allowed competent college athletic programs to do is change their level and location. It's not just a fix-it-all, but sometimes it's a balancer. Listen, if you don't understand that it's not the same recruiting a young man or young woman to Los Angeles or Miami, that it's much easier to get them there than it is to get them in the middle of the country in Lincoln, Nebraska. Not all things are made equal. And then if there is not success in the said programs, listen, I can speak from experience to have student athletes say, well, listen, if I go to Miami and it doesn't work, it's still South Beach. Nebraska has changed the conversation. Name, image, likeness, and then the groups that move within the space have a very unique opportunity to change level and location of programs, lives, and brands. And the 1890 group in Lincoln, Nebraska can stand just a little taller today with its chin higher, with its chest out more and a smile at the corners of its mouth, because through work, through planning, through leadership, what they've done is collected, and the collective is the word that's used. It is each fan base, each athletic program collectively deciding how they're going to do business and who they're going to do business with. The fan bases have impact. They have influence over athletic departments because they can contribute in full. They can make it move. They can fill the coffers. They can make the waters rise, right? They can do all of those things. And now that Nebraska is starting to figure out this NIL thing and to move collectively on purpose in a positive direction, it has changed Nebraska athletics, and specifically because of this, Nebraska football. To 1890, job well done, but I'm not speaking for them. I'll say the job's not finished. And as we know, one of the more difficult things in sports is finishing. The job's not done, but Nebraska football has taken steps forward and up. Job well done. Well done. Well done. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. We'll close with the 3 words that mean a little more, and they come off a little bit cleaner today than they did a week ago. Go Big Red.